Welcome. In this playthrough of AEONS In, we go into our final battle of Into the Wild with Inco and RAZRA taking on the NECROSWARM. So for our introduction, the dawn approaches. We are close. Inco's handshake with each word. To you, the land has looked the same for hours. Somehow the plants tell him where to go. So you exit the willows. Your path suddenly becomes obvious. A scar of blight stretches out toward an outpost of New Gravehold in the distance. He points. That is South Post, the soil where Talek sprouted. You focus on reaching the outpost as quickly as possible, hoping you're not too late. With each step, the rot around you grows worse and worse. So we've already opened up the Expedition 2 and made the Nemesis stack here. So the front of card 52, suddenly a guard tower in the distance crashes to the ground, creating a cloud of dust and debris. A shambling army of nameless creatures led by a massive vine-covered bull slowly advances toward the outpost. Inco gasps, "No." He rushes forward. "Why are you doing this? This isn't you." The nameless, which seems to be made entirely of plants, bellows a challenge and knocks you off your feet. Deadly green gunk and plant bits rain down from the sky, decaying everything they touch. Whoever remains in the outpost needs your help. So the creature's army of living brambles infused with an unstable green pus marches forward. When you see one explode into a green mist, you realize they cannot be allowed to reach the outpost. Around the outskirts of the battle, cloaked humanoid figures maintain the now familiar glyphs. As he's ready for battle, Inco beseeches the creature one more time before resigning himself to fight next to RAZRA. So I'm using those cards from the deck to make the Nemesis deck, which I've already done. And in a two-player game, it tells us that the 3 Tier 1, 5 Tier 2, and 7 Tier 3 cards need to be upgraded. So that's all the additional cards being put in there. So they've been done and shuffled. So now we need to fight. The end of the game versus NECROSWARM. If you won, we'll read the front of card 70. If we lose, we'll fight it again. And if I lose, I'll just do that off screen and just proceed to go ahead and read 70 so you don't have to watch me do this twice. But hopefully my first turn can be success. So the NECROSWARM. For setup, we'll place the Bramble Invasion track next to this mat. So this is just a movement track for the brambles, which are additional tokens that come with the game that we can punch out. But I like using tokens like this. They're just easier for me to pick up. So they'll start in location 5, move their way towards Gravehold, and once they get to the end, Gravehold suffers 4 damage. And you can see, depending on what location they're at, their amount of health is going to be different. And we'll shuffle all the Bramble movement cards together and place them face down to form the Bramble movement deck. Place the Bramble reminder card in play, and then we place a Bramble into play at location 5. So we'll throw the Bramble there. We've got the Bramble movement deck. So that's going to let the Brambles move 1, 2, or 0 spaces. So go ahead and give that a shuffle. Then a reminder card. Start of the Nemesis turn, the Brambles rush Gravehold. If there's at least one Bramble in play, draw a Bramble movement card and move each Bramble that many spaces towards Gravehold. Otherwise, we unleash. And then the NECROSWARM's unleash abilities. We place a Bramble into play at location 5. It's got 70 health. Got that set up here, and Gravehold at 30. The additional rules: at the start of the Nemesis turn, the Brambles rush Gravehold. When Brambles rush Gravehold, resolve the following. There's at least one Bramble to play, draw a Bramble movement card, and move each Bramble that many spaces towards Gravehold. Otherwise, unleash. When a Bramble reaches Gravehold, discard it, and Gravehold suffers 4 damage. That's extremely bad for us. Brambles are minions that can only be dealt damage equal to or greater than the damage number at its location on the Brambles invasion track. If damage is dealt this way, discard it from play. And when the Bramble movement deck is empty and a card would be drawn from it, shuffle the Bramble movement card discard pile and place it face down to form the Bramble movement deck. Then draw a card from the Bramble movement deck. So we are going to have an onslaught of small minions coming after us that do some big damage to Gravehold. So now to finish setting up our breach mages here with Inco and RAZRA, we'll start with the treasures. And I'm going to go backwards. Each of us get a level 3 treasure. For RAZRA, I'm getting a Soothsayer's Pouch. Add an additional level 1 treasure to your starting deck using the level 1 treasure rules. Your group can use an additional level 2 treasure. Then for Inco, we're going to use a suppressing pin. Once per turn during your main phase, you may discard a card in hand. If you do, any ally draws a card, and you may add a power token to a power in play. Then for our 2 level 2s we can get, we're going to use the Eye of the Maelstrom. At the start of the game, set this next to a supply pile that costs 4 ether or more. When a player gains a card from that supply pile, that player gains 1 life. And to help boost that, our other one is going to be when a player gains life, they gain an additional life. We're going to place this on Ignite, which is cast, deal 2 damage, and the ally gains a charge. And that's going to give us a bonus. Then RAZRA's level 1s. We are going to give her Mist Amethyst Paragon to gain an ether. Any ally may prep a spell in hand to their open or closed breaches. And the Oblivion Shard, gain 2 ether that cannot be used to gain a relic or spell. And those replace 2 gems in our starting deck. And then for Inco, going to give him the Lone Opal. Gaining an ether, you may cast a spell in hand that costs 4 or less. That's going to replace one of those. So we are now ready to get started. We've got 2 cards for Inco, 2 for RAZRA, and unfortunately 2 for the Nemesis. So we'll give these a shuffle and see who's going to start this battle. And Inco goes first. He's going to prep a spark there. We're going to use our ability to gain a Rose Thorn from the Rose Thorn deck, which I have off screen here. Place that card on top of any player's discard pile. We're going to choose our own. Then I'm going to use our ability. We're going to discard a card in hand to have an ally draw a card. And if we had a power card in play, we could add an additional power to it. Then we'll spend 2 crystals. So we can go ahead and start focusing one of our breaches. And end our turn, drawing 5. And next, it's going to be Inco again. So Spark goes off. So he draws first blood against the tree. Then we're going to go ahead and gain another Thorn. And discard a card to have an ally draw. Then we'll bank these 3. And go for some Frozen Magmite. Gain 2 ether. You may place the next card you gain this turn on top of your deck. So he's quickly done for this round. Next is the Nemesis. So we start with movement. So Bremels move 2 spaces towards Gravehold. Then we get the March of Horror. To discard, spend 5. Power 2, Unleash. Move each Bramble 1 space towards Gravehold. Any player suffers 3 damage. Then RAZRA will go. She's been boosted up to having 2 additional cards. We'll start with sending Rip for help to gain a charge. We'll prep a Spark. Then we're going to play all our gems, which is going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 money. 2 of that cannot be used to gain a relic or spell. And with this one, any ally may prep a spell in hand to their open or closed breaches. So we'll go ahead and throw that in play. I think we'll use these 2 to gain a charge. And we've got 4 remaining. We're going to try this out and see what happens. We'll try to thin out our opponent's deck. Destroy the top card of any player's discard pile, or destroy this to gain 2 life. And our 1 left over just gets washed away at the end of the round. Discard down and draw 3. And 2 more. Then we'll go again, using our Spark for 1 damage, down to 68. I'll prep a spark. Send out Rip to gain a charge. And just realized I forgot to discard the Rip from the last time. So just put him on the bottom of the stack there. We'll play this to destroy the top card of any player's discard pile. And with the 3 money that we can't use, well, 2 can't be used on a relic or spell, we'll gain another charge. And this time, make sure I get Rip in my discard pile. Then drawing 5. Then next turn is going to be the Nemesis. So we've got some movement going on. Moving 1 space. Remove a power token. We're going to unleash twice, and Gravehold suffers 1 damage. So 2 brambles come in, and we're down to 29. And we'll get ready for the next round. And this is going to start with Inco. We're going to deal 2 damage, and we may return this to the Rosethorn deck, but we're not going to. We'll do that 2 damage to this one. Then we'll play that to get another Rosethorn. We're going to discard a card to have our ally draw a card. And place a power out on a card in play. Then with 2, we'll go ahead and focus again. And then we've got the Nemesis going. So movement, everything moves 1 space. Then place a bramble into play at location 3. And any player suffers 2 damage. We'll go ahead and put that on RAZRA. Next will be her. So spark for 1, down to 67 over here. We're going to spend all our charges to do our ability. So destroy a card with Rip in its name in your hand. Gain a card with Rip in its name from the personal upgrade deck that costs 3 more than the destroyed card, and place that into your hand. So we'll get rid of this one to get Rip go. Then go ahead and play that. Focus any ally's breach. That ally gains a charge. So focus that one, give a charge. Then we've got our other one in our hand, since we're drawing so many cards, to gain a charge for herself. Then we can bank 4 ether, and an ally may prep a spell in hand to their open or closed breaches, which we'll go ahead and do. And with that 4 money, we're going to buy from our healing one. So on cast, deal 2 damage, any ally gains a charge, and since we heal 1, we'll heal 2, going up to 10. Then discard and draw 5. So there's 3. And 2 more. And then Inco goes, dealing 2 damage to get rid of that bramble. Prep a spark. We'll play this to get another thorn. Actually, let me take that back 1 step. We'll play this to gain 2 money, and you may place the next card you gain this turn on top of your deck. Then play this to get a thorn, which goes on top of our deck. We'll spend that 2 money to open a breach. And discard a card to let RAZRA draw a card. And place another power token out. So drawing 4 plus 1. Next turn goes to RAZRA. So Rip's going to go, focus any ally's breach. Ally gains a charge. We will bank 3 money there. Use that to focus. Then we can prep a spell there. And unfortunately, this relic's not going to do anything that we can do. Destroy the top card of any player's discard pile. Neither one of us have one. And it's not time to destroy this to gain 2 life because we're at max health. So can't discard that. So we're just drawing 4 cards this time. And next turn goes to the Nemesis. We've got some movement. Or not. So the brambles do not move. We'll get rid of a token there. And now we're going to unleash twice. To regroup, move brambles at locations 2 and 3 to location 4. So they're already there, but unleashing twice. So we've got 4 in play. And ready for our next round. Starting with the Nemesis. Movement of 1. Lose a token. Next card is the Bane Commander, health of 6. Persistent, unleash. Any player suffers 1 damage. Then Nemesis goes again. That's not going to go well for us. They're moving 2. That's going to trigger. We unleash. And move each bramble 1 space towards Gravehold. So those 2 go in for damage. 4 damage each, so 8. So we're down to 21 now. And any player suffers 3 damage. RAZRA is going to be that person. Then that's going to have us unleash. And any player suffers 1 damage. Now, a Hissing Acid. We need to spend 6 money, power 3, reveal the top card of the turn order deck. If it's a player turn order, unleash 3 times. Otherwise, any player suffers 5 damage. Oh, that wasn't good. But at least we get 4 turns in a row now. So we can deal 1 damage. Well, let's go with this one. Deal 2 damage. Any ally gains a charge. I'll do that 2 to here. Inco gets a charge. Then a spark. We'll get rid of one of those. Rip is going to help us with a charge for herself. We'll destroy the top card of any player's discard pile. Then we are going to play these to bank 3 money. An ally may prep a spell. And with that 3 money, we're going in for a precision shot. It's got the link ability, so 2 spells with link may be prepped to the same breach. On cast, deal 2 damage. If there are 6 or more other cards in the discard pile, deal 2 additional damage. And discard, drawing 1 and 4 more. Then we'll go again. So prepping a spell. Focus any ally's breach. So we'll open up our level 4, which gives us +1 damage on cast, and we gain a charge. Then we're going to bank 4 money, 2 of which cannot be used to gain a relic or spell. And I think we're just going to get 2 more charges with that. So for next turn, player 1 goes. We'll start with the Thorn to deal 2 damage here. The Spark to get rid of that one. Then we can prep a Rose Thorn. Going to use our ability, discarding a card. So we can draw a card here. And add a power token. And then bank 2 money and use that for a charge. Next turn, player 1. So we're dealing 3 damage here. Take out the Bane Commander. Then we'll prep a spell. Use that to gain a Thorn. And I think we're going to keep all 3 cards and go in for a precision shot. End our turn, getting 4 here. +1. And then get ready for another round. So hopefully I can get something built up going here soon, because those things can move pretty quick. So Gravehold down to 21. We've got the NECROSWARM down to 67. And we'll see what happens here. All right, we get to go first. I'm going to choose not to cast any spells. And for our main phase, prep 2 spells. We're going to use our ability. Cast any number of Rose Thorns prepped by any number of players. Those spells deal 2 additional damage. So this one's going to deal 5, which we're going to take off of this one for sure, down to 62. This one will deal 4, so down to 58. And yeah, I'll go ahead and do another 4, down to 54. Then I'll play that to gain another one. I'll use this for 2 money to get a charge. And with this one, I'm going to discard it for that ability. Let her draw a card. Getting Rip Go. And place another power token up here. Next turn goes here. So we're casting 2 damage. Any ally gains a charge. Down to 52. We've got 2 rips in hand. We're going to play this one. Focus any ally's breach. That ally gains a charge. Then we're going to use our ability to destroy this one. And go looking for Rip Fetch. So we focus your closed breach with the lowest focus cost, and you may destroy a card in hand. And I'll go ahead and destroy this. Then we'll go ahead and destroy this one to gain 2 life. Prep a spell. Then we'll gain 2 money. Now I may prep a spell in hand. I guess I need to discard my previous hand and draw 5. And we definitely have a card to prep. And with our 2 money, we'll gain a charge. So drawing 3, 4, and 5. We need to buy her more cards. Then the Nemesis gets a turn. So we've got some movement. They're all moving too. We'll lose a power token, and next card is Unleashed twice. The player with the lowest life suffers 3. Then we've got a precision shot. Deal 2 damage. If there are 6 or more, she barely has 6 cards in her whole deck here. So we'll deal 2 damage there. We'll focus any ally's breach and they gain a charge. Prep a spell and use these 4 money for 2 charges. And drawing 3 and 2 more. Next turn is the Nemesis. So now we'll shuffle. And we're going to have movement of 2. Remove a power. Then we get Nittle Doom, 12 health, unleash ability, Gravehold suffers 2 damage. And then player 1 gets to go. Oh, he's dealing 3 damage. We got to deal with that. Then prep 1 spell. Discard a card. Put a power up there and draw a card. Then with our 2 money, we're just going to use that to purchase a Rose Thorn. And see how much this next turn hurts or helps us. Player 1 goes. So we deal 2 damage. We'll do that there. Prep 2 spells. I'm going to play this to get a Rose Thorn. Discard a card to let her draw a card. And place a power. Then we're going to play this to gain 1 crystal and then not buy anything. So drawing 1 and 4 more. Here we go. Next turn is us. Nope, this will allow us to deal 3 damage, which we'll put on this thing. And then 2 damage to get rid of that. Prep those. Then discard a card to have her draw. She has all cards in hand. And next turn, she gets to play. So dealing 2 damage. You've got to get rid of this guy somehow. An ally gains a charge. We'll play Rip Go, focus any ally's breach, which is going to open that. And they could gain a charge, but we're already full. Then focus your closed breach with the lowest focus cost. You may destroy a card in hand. I'm going to choose not to destroy anything in hand because we need all the money we got. So prep a spell. And I forgot to draw 4 cards over here. Getting forgetful here. So that's what we've got in hand. Whoops. The reason why I remembered that is any ally may prep a spell in hand to their open or closed breaches. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 money. And 2 of that cannot be used on a relic or spell. But 4 of that money can be used over here to get that, so we can heal 2. Then the other 2 we'll use for a charge. And discard and draw 5. Next turn's the Nemesis. So there's nothing on here, so we'll unleash once. Remove a token. Unleash again. Gravehold suffers 2, down to 19. And the next card, To the Walls, power 3. It's going to unleash twice. The Brambles rush Gravehold. Any player suffers 2 damage. Then we get player 2, dealing 2 damage. Taking this down to 5. We're going to do our ability to destroy this. Costs 3 rip to find a one that costs 6. And we're going to go with the Rip Eat. Any ally gains 2 charges and may destroy a card in hand. Then we're going to play these, giving us 3 money, and 2 can't be used on a relic or spell. We're going to use that to open a breach. So we can prep 2 there and discard 2. Not playing that, so just 4 cards drawn back up. And Nemesis goes. I got movement of 2. Move the power, unleashing, Gravehold takes 2, down to 17, and remove a token. And the next card is Unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 2 damage, and then the player with the most expensive prep spell discards that spell. Gravehold down to 15. And most expensive spell. And time for shuffling. All right, next turn. Player 2. So dealing 2 damage, an ally gains a charge, but we're full. We can focus our closed breach with the lowest focus cost. And we may destroy a card in hand, but we're not going to. We'll be holding on to that one, and with 3 money, we're going for a precision shot. Ending our turn, drawing 4. Next, player 1, which is what we needed. Not playing any spells, going to use our ability. So all these are going to be plus 2 damage, which means this one's doing 5. So we can take out that guy. This one's doing 5, then 4 and 4, so a total of 13 damage, which is going to take this down to 39. Then we'll prep some spells. We'll play this to gain another card. We'll actually going to reverse that. Play this to gain 2, and the next card we gain goes on top of our deck. Then play that to gain this, which goes on top. Use that 2 money for a charge. And then discard to have her draw a card. And place a token on that one. And then remember to discard and draw 5. Now it's next turn. Player 1 again. So we're doing 3 damage. We'll get rid of this one. Prep some spells. Discard 1 to have her draw 1. Place another power out. And then 2 money to gain a charge. And next turn is the Nemesis. We're going to have some movement of 1. Each of these loses a token. Then a Sky Tremor. We need to spend 7, power 1, unleash twice, and Gravehold suffers 4 damage. Don't see that happening. And then next, Nemesis again. Movement of 1. Then we're moving 1 from each of these, which will trigger unleashing twice. And Gravehold going down to 11. Then player 2. So any ally gains 2 charges and may destroy a card in hand. So 2 charges there. We'll destroy a crystal. Then we'll bank 3 money. 2 can be used on relics and spells, and this allows an ally to prep a spell in hand, which we'll do. And with the 3 money, we'll focus. So we can prep a spell there, and these have length, so we can put 2 of those on the same spot. And end our turn, drawing 4, plus 1. And go on to our next turn. And if the Nemesis goes twice in a row here, I believe we've lost. So starting off with the Nemesis. Movement of 1. Removing tokens. Frenzied Army. Immediately place all Brambles, rush 2 cards in the Bramble movement discard pile on top of the Bramble movement deck. 10 health, and persistent. Any player suffers 3 damage. Things are looking dire. Bramble rush 2 cards. So I know they're moving 2 spaces from here on out for a while. And 10 health. All right, it's us at least. So we are going to choose not to play spells. Spend those 2 money for a charge. Then use that to give all these +2. So here's going to be 10 damage. Get rid of that. And then 4 damage, unfortunately, just goes there. And prep a spark and end her turn. And then next, player 2 goes. So we're going to deal 2 damage and ally gains a charge. Deal 2 damage and ally gains a charge. Deal 2 damage. Takes it down to 37, and then another 2 damage down to 35. All right, ally gains 2 charges and may destroy a card in hand, which we're not going to do. Then we can focus our closed breach with the lowest focus cost and destroy a card in hand if we want to. And I'll choose not to destroy. We're going to have 3 money. Go for another precision shot. Ending her turn. So 2 cards. +3. Next turn is player 1, so we can deal 2 damage with this. Down to 33. And prepping spells. Discard to draw a card. And they're both bad. We'll just put that on the walls. And then drawing 5. Next turn is player 2. So we've got 2 precision shots, which we'll smartly cast on the level 3 breach with +1 damage. 2 ignites. And we'll get a total of 3 money, 2 which can't be used for spells and relics. So we'll just spend that on a charge. And then the Nemesis. So there's movement of 2. Reveal the top card of the turn order deck, and there isn't one. So player's going to suffer 5 damage, which I'm going to do over here. So she's down to 3. And we'll take one off that. And the next card out. So Sprawling Swamp, power 2, unleash twice. Set this next to the Bramble invasion track. For the rest of the game, when a Bramble enters play, it moves 1 space towards Gravehold. Not too good. All right, another round. Gravehold's down to 11. We've got the NECROSWARM down to 33. But they also have 2 on location 2. So if they go first, I believe that's 8 more damage for us. So first turn is us. So I'm just going to cast the precision shot. Take care of one of those. Not cast any of the others. Prep a spell. Play the Magmite, which will get us 2 ether. May place the next card you gain this turn on top of your deck. The 2 ether is going to get us a charge. We'll play that to get another Thorn, which goes on top of her deck. Then we're going to kick our ability off. This one deals 4 damage to get rid of that one. Then 5, 5, and 4, so 14 damage. Which takes it down to 19. And we still have this. We're going to discard that. And we'll add to the walls. And let her draw a crystal. Then prep a Rose Thorn, ending her turn. Next turn is player 2. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage, down to 9. Our allies gain 2 charges. We'll play Repeat. Any ally gains 2 charges and may destroy a card in hand, which I'm not doing. We can focus or close breach with the lowest cost and may destroy a card, which I'm not doing. Prep a spell, use 3 money on the last precision shot, and drawing 5. Next, player 1. Oh, not casting a spell. We'll prep 2 for fun, discard a card to let her draw a card and add a token. 2 money to get a charge, then kick off her ability, and dealing 5, 10, and 14 damage, which will take care of the NECROSWARM. So Gravehold down to 11. She was down to 3, and we healed her several times. And down to 9 over there. So our Battle 4 conclusion. As NECROSWARM collapses, the plants look a little less sick, but the land is still barren and gray. You look to Inco to restore them, but he's staring at the fallen Nameless, tears running down his cheeks. RAZRA gasps and points at a fleeing cloaked figure. She and Rip charge across the battlefield as RAZRA's captor darts into the trees, leaving a wall of flame behind her. As RAZRA works a spell to extinguish the fire, Rip, sensing her intent, approaches the wall and takes a bite. 2 bites, 3 bites. Somehow Rip chomps a hole right through the wall of fire. A deluge of water spills from RAZRA's hands as she abandons her spell to dive through the temporary hole Rip made. Inco, refusing to be left behind again, slams the ground with his palms and rapidly lifts himself and you into the air on enormous leaves. Higher and higher, Inco lifts you, trying to get over the massive wall of flames. An errant branch strays too close and the fire begins consuming Inco's transport vine. Together, you leap from the unstable structure, clear the fire, and crash to the ground. As the fleeing woman darts away, you see Zaxos insignia on her robe. So what you aren't prepared for is the tattoo you spot on her ankle. Surely it's a coincidence, a ploy. Only veteran breach mages of Gravehold receive that mark. You thought that Zaxos' followers attracted the desperate, the new mages, the failed mages, the ones who didn't know better. You don't want to imagine one of your friends, one of your mentors, being this mage fleeing from you. Can't imagine one of them working to destroy New Gravehold. You slow briefly, stunned by the possibilities, which allows her to gain additional ground. She stops for a moment, turns, and leaves a massive blue sphere behind her that pulls in and consumes everything it touches. As you take stock, the blue void, a scythe of pure electricity, flies past your head, thrown by the running breach mage. You hear it carving through the trees behind you, destroying everything in its path. While you're busy fighting NECROSWARM, this mage must have been maintaining the glyphs. Blast it all, she's too strong and too far away now. RAZRA grinds her teeth and lets out a wordless scream. It's time for a new plan. You decide to return to New Gravehold immediately. The council must know the traitor in your ranks. So Inco lags behind, kicking the ground occasionally. His gaze wanders, searching for an answer. You move to comfort him, but RAZRA gently touches your shoulder. He was raised by that creature. It lived in peace, far away from any humans. He left to find people like him. No one else knows except Talix. Inco sighs. My old family just wanted to survive. That traitor must have found a way to control them. They must have made my family attack us. If it got much closer, it could have destroyed all of our crops, all our food. We would have been helpless. The trek home is spent in silence as attempts to start conversation are met with apathetic mumbling. Upon returning to New Gravehold, you report to the council. I can save the crops, but there's a bigger problem, Inco says. A veteran mage of Gravehold betrayed us. He scans the council's eyes, seeing no surprise. He tightens his hands into fist. My home is carrion. You could have stopped this. Brahma treads carefully. The people knew about this traitor. Your new home, our home, would be in chaos. We would fall to the next nameless attack. You feared that this new foe may be more dangerous than any nameless you've ever fought before. Congratulations, you have completed Expedition 2. You can now play AEONS in Expedition mode using all of this new content. Add the remaining cards in this deck to your collection. So the new cards, it's a level 1 treasure. Olgamar's Coal Fragment, gain 2 ether and suffer 1 damage or gain a life. Level 2 treasure, Umbral Horn of War. Start of the game, set this next to a spell supply pile that costs 6 ether or more. Those spells deal 2 additional damage when cast. Then a treasure of 3, Band of Retrieval. Start of your casting phase, you may lose 1 charge. If you do, return the next spell you cast during this casting phase to your hand instead of discarding it. Kind of like that one. Then we've got a new gem here, a Jeweled Brain. Gain 2 ether or gain 1 ether. Return to your hand a card in your discard pile that costs 0. Then we have a Blast Sphere with a cost of 8, a relic. Cast any player's prep spell 3 times without discarding it and then destroy it. Good end-game card. The Wound Mender, cost of 8 with Echo. Cast, deal 2 damage. If this was cast from an open 3 or 4 breach, gain a life. And then randomizers for these new cards. And Hero and Nemesis cards. So thanks for joining in for our Into the Wild Expedition mode. As always, I hope you enjoyed these playthroughs. If so, please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.